Hi everyone, this is Jen from Teaching in the Tongass, and I am here today to go through my back to school binder. I am a binder hoarder. I absolutely love organizing all of my supplies and everything into binders. I used to do tubs and I've tried file cabinets, and neither of those worked for me. They might work for you, but they weren't my style, so I am big into binders. So everything I own that's like teaching stuff and some home stuff is all organized into binders. So I'm here to go through my back to school binder to show you how I organize everything in there. So let's get started. This is my binder, and it just looks like this, and I think this is a 1.5 inch, and I keep everything that I need for the first couple of weeks of school right in here. So it's really handy, and I just went through and I organized it again for this year. So I thought I'd share while everything is nice and neat in there and not all chaotic. So let's go through. So right here I have these pockets. They're full of all kinds of things. I start off my year with a checklist. And this is all just a to-do list. It has everything that I need to make, everything that I need to copy, everything that I need to print off, everything that I need to organize, and then in here I have a checklist, and in this checklist it's just what I do on the first few days of school. It goes through, I think, day 10 or something, so it's just kind of like my notes, and I have like procedures and routines in here, like how I do classroom management. And this is all, I put this in my store, so if you're interested in looking at it, I mean, it might not make sense to you, but I mean, I think everybody knows what icebreakers are. So anyway, this is in my store and you can look through it, and I have a blank in that same file. It's a blank checklist for you. It's editable too, so you could type in what your things to do are on yours. So that's how I start off my year, is by making sure I have that checklist. And then also in here I have, these are magnetic. I laminated and put a little magnet tape on the back. And it's just what the inside of the student desks need to have. So it's like, this is the math binder, the writing journal, and this is how they should be organized in their desks, because there's so many textbooks. I don't know if your school has curriculum that they're required to use, but here in Juneau, we have Math in Focus and Wonders for K through 5. So their desks get pretty full if you choose to put things in their desks, which I do. So this is how they should be organized in there, and then so this goes on the whiteboard, and it's like this. So I just teach them at the beginning of the year how to organize their desks so everything fits nice and neat in there. This is just something funny I made last year. It says, you've got a blank space, baby, so write your name. It's just a little name reminder thing. And then this and this for the turn-in box. If you don't have a turn-in box, I don't know how you manage all the papers and stuff, but this has been a huge lifesaver for me. So these go like right by a little box where everything gets turned in, all the same stuff. Anything like homework or a little note from their parents or any work that we do throughout the day, it all goes in the turn-in box. So anyway, those things all are right there in the binder. At the beginning of the year, we always have a big assembly, and instead of kids walking down to the classrooms, they all come to the gym, and we have like a little welcoming thing, and then we say, okay, now go find your teacher. And because many of them don't know what you look like, we have our names on pieces of paper, and then we hold them up and we walk down in front of the gym, and we all stand there with our names, and the kids go find their teacher because they know your name, and then they get in a line, and then you walk down to your classroom. So anyway, that's what this is. And then this is a little, just a welcome thing when they walk in. This is on the projector. It just says, like, get started, basically. I mean, they could figure it out on their own, but they know that they do whatever's on their desk. So that's there. And then at the beginning of the year, I like to send home a parent information packet, and this just has so many different things in it. It like answers all of those questions that the kids, like, they might have and their parents might have, like, can I bring toys, or do we have a nut allergy in our classroom this year, or how do you handle borrowing books? It's all in this packet, and I make sure that anytime I get a new student that this is the first thing that the parents see when they go home that day. So this has like a ton of my classroom policies and procedures in it. If you don't have a parent information packet already, I strongly suggest that you make one outlining what you expect out of your classroom so that your parents aren't surprised if you know, in my classroom I didn't celebrate birthdays. I had one day every year where we did an unbirthday party and all of the students celebrated their birthday on the same day, and to some parents that would have been a surprise had I not outlined my reasonings and what day we were having it on in this packet. So anyway, I suggest that you make something like this if you don't have one already. This is something I recently made. It's a classroom mobile, and if you own my Play-Doh packet, first day of school Play-Doh packet, it's in there. I just updated it. It has like a ton of different first day activities besides the Play-Doh mat in there. So I don't know if you can see this, but isn't that cute? So it's just their name, and they draw a picture of themselves and some of their favorites. It's just fun to make, just fun activities on the first day of school. I don't like to focus on procedures and routines on that first day. Lots of fun so they go home happy and they just have a good start of their first day. Hi, Angela. Who else is in here? If you're here, I would love to know who you are and where you're from. I'll just keep going. So this is another fun game that I like to play. It's called, oh no, this isn't that. This is my Welcome Back to School banner. So on the first day, they each get a different piece of paper, a little card, and it spells Welcome Back to School. And then when you put it all together, it becomes a little banner that says Welcome Back to School. There's enough for a bunch of different students. So I also have school supplies in here. So if you have like 50 kids, a few of them can get the same one. So, oh, thank you, Angela. So that's the next thing. And then you've probably seen this before. This is just a class puzzle. Every student gets their own little puzzle, and they get to decorate it. And on here I have them write their name big. You know how some students really like to write their name small, and then you can't see it. So I really drive it into them. Write your name huge, and then I show them, I model how I write my name huge. And then decorate it, and then you put it together. It could be a bulletin board if you want it to be. Also, this is a fun all about name. I guess you could call this a poster, but it's just a fun little all about me, and you get to talk about yourself. I mean, what kid doesn't like to talk about themselves? This is an all about me flip book, and I have some samples made already. I don't know about you, but kids like to see what they're going to make ahead of time, so I like to provide a sample for them. The Welcome Back to School banner is in my first day activities pack, and so is this, and so is the mobile, and lots of other things I'm going to show you. So this goes like that. This is the boy topper. They're optional. You don't have to have them. And these are fun because they can take them home. You can put them on your clothespin. I had a clothespin thing that I hung anytime we made a craft or an art project. Each kid had their picture up above it onto the clothespin, and so you can do that, or you can send it home, or you can make a bulletin board. It's really up to you. And here's the girl one. So they can write about their friends, a picture of them playing. They can draw a picture of their family, and this is good because it kind of lets you know who might be in their house and who might they consider their family. And then just an about me page. So pretty simple, just another fun activity for them to do on that first day. Let's see what's next in here. Oh, this is fun. This is one of my favorite things to do. It is, so I have this Play-Doh mat, and it says, don't be shy, open it up and make something. So when they walk into the classroom, each of these, they're just pieces of paper that and this is in that pack too. They're just pieces of paper that I laminated so that they can make Play-Doh on them. It doesn't make a mess. So I have a can of Play-Doh, the mat, and then this writing activity where they draw what they made and then they write. And so when they walk in on that first day and it's kind of crazy and maybe a parent's trying to talk to you about something about their child at the door, and you have maybe 3 other parents that are trying to do the same thing, and kids asking you, where do I put my crayons? It can be a little chaotic and crazy. So I like to have something like the Play-Doh mat on their desks to keep, you know, go ahead and sit down and do something, and then you can kind of calm those parents and shush them out the door, and then you can get started with your day. I don't know if I'm the only one that's like that, but that's how I feel about it anyway. So that's the Play-Doh activity. And then on the back of that page, I also have just a simple word search. These are all optional too. Like if you finish your writing activity, you move on to the word search. And then we go into an icebreaker activity, icebreaker bingo. And then this is a fun activity. This is called Guess Who. And so I print these off on bright colored paper, and then I cut them up, and then I put them, I think there's like 12 of them, I put them on half the kids' backs, and then they walk around and they have to guess what their school supply is. So like, am I colorful? Are there more than one of me? Am I used for math? Those kinds of questions to try to figure out what on earth they are. And this is in that back to school pack too. And then at the beginning of the year, I also like to detail how to check out books in my classroom. Because I send them home, I have those great, I think it's really good stuff. They have those awesome book bags that are like, they look like this, and they're Velcro, and they fit in their backpacks, and we just check out books once a week, and they bring them home, and then they bring them back the following. I've done it sometimes on Friday, and then sometimes I get to keep them over the weekend on Monday. So this just details how to do that. And this is in my my student or my teacher binder. So this is part of the teacher binder set. And then when they bring them back, how to go about checking them back in. And then this is a freebie in my store. It's just, I don't know how you do classroom management, but when my students finally get into table groups, I have this sheet up on the whiteboard, and I just take it right out of here because these little pocket sleeves, you can write on them and dry erase. And so they get to name their groups, and sometimes they're really funny. Sometimes they name themselves like the Sharks or the Cupcakes, and so we have weird random names down the side, and then I do tally marks so that they get points, and then when they reach whatever the goal is that I set for them, like 20 tally points, they get like a prize out of the prize box or an extra recess or something, that particular table group. So that's just a fun way to do some classroom management. I am pretty particular about seating arrangements in my classroom. So throughout the year, this might change, but I have this, and then I write in pencil where each student sits around the circle, and that kind of helps me keep the disturbances at a minimum the best I can. So everybody has their own circle spot, and it's like that wherever we go. So if we go to like the library or on a field trip or something, I just tell them get in a circle spot, and I stand where my chair usually is so that they know where to sit based on where I am. And same thing with if I want them to just gather and not sit in a circle, I also have gather spots. So like for calendar time, I don't want them sitting in a circle. I want them closer to me. So I have them in the gather spots, and then I just, on the first few days of school, I kind of figure out who shouldn't sit together and who's fine sitting together, and who really needs to be like right next to me up in front, and who can be in the back and won't be a problem. So that's where I put all those kids. And I just write it in pencil so I can change it as I need to. And hopefully this isn't backwards for you guys. I see it backwards on my screen, but hopefully it's not for you. This is another freebie in my store. If you have kids with allergies, you gotta let people know that are walking into your room so that, you know, they know. It's a pretty scary thing to see anybody go into anaphylactic shock. So warn them. A sign right outside your door. This is also a freebie in my store, an iMessage sign. So kids need to be solving their problems by themselves, right? So sometimes they need help with that prompt. So I teach them at the very beginning of the year how to use an iMessage. I feel sad when you push me. I wish you didn't push me. So this is right outside my classroom, so anytime I need to solve or help them solve problems when they're coming in from recess or wherever, I just pull them out in the hallway and point to the sign and then stand there and watch them as they figure it out on their own. So that's that. Next up, this is also a freebie in my store. I have a lot of little classroom management freebies in my store. This is how I ask students to raise their hand. So if you've ever read a story to your class before and you ask them a question and you get an answer instead that's not an answer, it's more like a comment. Like if you say, now what was the problem in that story, and you call on somebody and they say, can I go to the bathroom? Or you call on somebody and they say, I have a belly button. So I have this, and I teach them how to use these hand signals in order to help me figure out who to actually call on when I'm asking a question. Or when they might have a question about something, I know when it would be appropriate to call on them. Freebie in my store. Feel free to download it. This one doesn't need any words. So, yeah. If you teach primary, you know what I'm talking about. Well, also if you teach any grade, really. Again, we use Wonders here in Juneau. So, with so many different books, I found it really difficult to try to tell kids, like, okay, get this one particular textbook out, get the hard one, not the soft one, not your workbook. And so I made this little sheet, and then whatever a book it is that I want them to get, I circle that and dry erase, and then I write the page number down. So they, like, if they're coming in from a specialist pullout or whatever, this will be on the whiteboard, just with a magnet, just in this little thing. I don't laminate everything, just a lot of stuff goes in these little plastic sleeves, and it just you just put it up, and then you circle what you need, and you write the page number, and that makes it easier for you as a teacher. You don't have to tell 15 kids all separately what book to get out and what page number to turn it to. And I'm visual too, so I would appreciate this as a student myself. And then there's another one for Math in Focus. I love lending stuff out, especially books, but to other teachers usually, and even to students. So if a student does an activity and they need to do it outside of recess because they didn't do it in class, or a coworker comes to me and says, hey, can I borrow your timer? I just have them write down their name and whatever they took, and that way I don't have 15 sticky notes of all of the things that people borrowed, and I'm not looking for something that somebody borrowed and I don't know that they borrowed it. So this helps me stay sane. It might not make me look like the coolest person to work with, but it helps me remember where something is when I end up looking for it. And that's also in my teacher binder. Students sign out and back in log anytime a kid leaves to go to the restroom. I have them do this, and it's not because I really care that they're leaving to go to the restroom. It's more about, in second grade, we're teaching time, and so this holds them accountable to actually using time in real life. And we start off at the beginning of the year with an a little digital clock, and then I have them move on to the real clock in about November. And they can ask for help at the very beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, all the second graders know how to tell time with a regular clock, which is, I don't know, just amazing. I don't know about you guys, but when a kid doesn't know how to tell time, it's like, it's so sad to me, because it's such a real life skill. So I really drill it into them in second grade, and not just during math. It's like all day long. That's something that you need to know. Moving on. Okay, so if you have people that come and take your kids randomly throughout the day, you might be like me and you might not even realize that they took them, or you might wonder, hey, are they actually taking the kids? Like, I feel like they're in here during reading and they're not supposed to be. This is super handy. So this holds me accountable as their regular ed teacher, and it holds their specialist accountable to make sure that if they do take them and there's a fire drill, I run over there and I look at this. Okay, that kid's gone. I don't have to worry about them. So this is another sanity saver, and this is also in that teacher binder. In my store, this is a freebie. These spell out thank you. And if you ever do like a donor's choose, or you have a room mom or somebody in your classroom life that's like super helpful, it's great to have a photo of all of your students holding the letters thank you. Well, they don't all need to be holding it, but just a whole class picture, some kids holding the words thank you, or the letters that spell out thank you. And then you can just take one photo and you can use it all year long. So I do this the very first couple weeks of school. I try to find a time to take that class photo. And then Shutterfly often has these 101 prints for free, and all you do is pay for shipping, and then you have 100 thank you cards basically. So yeah, that's a really simple thing to do to show your gratitude to the people that care about you. I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is a really fun art project. It's a little difficult for second grade, but we manage it, and I just put my sample in here so I don't have to make it every single year, because that can be hard when you are dealing with so many other things. Our school uses the think time procedure. It's a PBIS thing. If you don't know what this is already, it's a super great classroom management tool. It helps if you have a kid that's like blurting or getting up out of their seat when they're not supposed to, all those minor behaviors that don't really warrant like an office referral. It's basically like a timeout for older kids. So the deal is you give them a think time card, just a little piece of paper. It's like this. I have these and I cut them out and laminate them so they last longer. And then they go to a neighbor teacher's classroom and fill out this form. And it's basically like, what did you do wrong? How are you going to fix it? And that's it. And then they come back, and there's a whole procedure. And this comes with a PowerPoint also, so it explains it a little bit more than I'm going to go into detail. This is another fun activity that I really like to do, and anybody can do it. So the very first day of school, I take all of these photos that I have and I stick them in here, and we play just a fun little game where I show a little tiny bit at once and they have to try to guess what it is, and they might be like Elmo, and then I pull out some more and then they're like Clifford, the kids that know. So this is just a fun activity on the first day of school, and it's been really interesting to watch because some of these are so old from when I started teaching. Like some of the kids are like, I have no idea who this is. Like, that's Miley Cyrus, friends. And you can do, you could do anything. Anytime you Google image anything, you can print those off because they're free for your classroom to use. But then I also have these alphabet cards that are in there too. So you could do an alphabet game too. As soon as you pull them out, you could say, what letter is it? So that is one more activity. I think I'm almost done. I hope so anyway. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Funky name game. I found this online and just printed it. It's you ask the kids first name, middle name, last name, and then you change it to whatever it is. Like my name would be J Sappy, J Monkey, and then L Brain. Sappy Monkey Brain would be my funky name. And some of them really like it. They ask you to do it over and over again or call you that. I'm not going to call you that all year, sorry. And then this is another freebie in my store. It's a choice wheel. If you have a problem, a small problem, what can you do? And I do this at home with my 4-year-old also because he often has small problems and he needs to learn how to solve them. This is Our Class Tree, another freebie in my store. You just have your kids mark their thumb with a washable marker, and then they do their thumbprint, and you write their name with the skinny Sharpie, who it is. And you can make one, you can make multiples. I like to make one, and then sometimes at the very end of the year, I have a student that might move, and I give them Our Class Tree as a present. So when they're out of the room, we have everybody sign it with their little thumbprint, and that's just a fun little way to say goodbye. And then if you have back to school books that you put out on display, I have these great spotlight pages that I put out for every theme that we have all throughout the year, but I like to put this out there and put all of my back to school books out the very first day of school. That's what is available out on my bookshelf. And then really quickly, I wanted to show you these. These are my new, they're not new, they're a few years old, but they're one of my favorite things. They're just little dice that have little questions on them, like tell me about a time that you were sad, name a time where you were scared, if you were an animal, what kind would you be? And I think these are from, I want to say Learning Resources. They may be Lakeshore. I think they're just called conversation dice. And they're just a great way to teach all kinds of things. Like you could sit with your kids and you could roll the dice and you could just start a conversation, or you could teach them how to pair share what your expectations are. Like, okay, turn to your partner and now we're going to answer this question. So these are fun for all year long, but I particularly love them for the first couple of weeks of school. They really let me listen in on those conversations about to try to get to know my students, because there's not a lot of one-on-one when you have 20-something kids. So those are that. And last this is the Kids Book of Questions. This is also a really great, if you do morning meeting, this is a great little book, and it has just 268 questions in it. And some of them are a little too mature, so I've crossed them out. knowing that I'm probably not going to be teaching sixth grade, and I just skipped that one the next year. So anyway, this is a really good book. It's by Gregory Stock. So anyway, look that up on Amazon. And that is it. I think I've gone through all of my back to school binder. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and that's it. I hope everybody has a great back to school, and tomorrow's Monday, so hopefully everybody's prepared, and have a great day. Rest of your Sunday. Bye.